Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we're continuing our review series of the Madness of the Darkmoon Faire. Today we're taking a look at the Rogue cards, and again we're reviewing both Standard and Wild on a 5-star basis. 5-star being like meta-defining, insanely good card, and 1-star just being unplayable. You're never putting this in a ladder deck. So let's take a look. Right now in Standard, Rogue is all over the place. You have Galakrond Rogue, it's popped up in popularity. You have Highlander Rogue, you have Weapon Rogue, you have Stealth Rogue, you have Secret Rogue. There are a ton of archetypes that can do a lot of good stuff. They all run like Secret Passage. That's like the enabler of a lot of this stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what gets added here in Standard. And in Wild, you don't really have that many archetypes. You have like Odd Rogue, you have Kingsbane Rogue, and that's about it. Those are the main meta archetypes. You know, you have your fringe decks like Mill Rogue, or some people try and play Galakrond Rogue or Highlander Rogue in Wild. It just doesn't really work out. Basically, you gotta go aggro if you want to play Rogue in Wild. So let's take a look at the cards and see what will change. First, we have Foxy Fraud. It's a 2-mana 3/2 minion. Battlecry, your next combo card. This turn costs 2 less. This is going to be an auto-include in Standard. I don't see why you don't run this. Like, you can get one Thief for nothing. You can cheat out, like, Miscreant, costs 1 mana after this. It enables combo cards. It's just super solid. I'm going to give it 5. Like, why are you not playing a premium status minion that lets you either play another combo card of 2 or less for free? Plus, there's one that's insane we'll take a look at. And then plus all the other good combo cards you like to run. It's just auto-include 5 stars, really solid. A minion in Wild, there just isn't this type of archetype out there for this type of deck yet that I can think of, and the cards I have looked at aren't really going to make a new Rogue archetype pop up in Wild. It's so much about aggression and Odd Rogue and Kingsbane Rogue that a great card like Foxy Fraud probably will not see much play outside of like those fringe decks. So I'm going to give it a 2 for Wild. I just don't see it popping up, but yeah, absolutely insane in Standard. Next, we have Sweet Tooth, a 2-mana 3/2 minion, and Corrupt, gain +2 attack and stealth. So as a 2-mana minion, basically unplayable. If it's corrupted, you get a 5/2 with stealth, which, you know, for 2 mana is okay. But, you know, you might as well just be playing Jungle Panther, honestly, so you can just play it on curve and not have to corrupt it, because you can't play this until, like, turns 3 or 4. I don't see this, it's seeing any play. It's too slow. You want to play stealth stuff in Rogue, you want to be aggressive, and having to do a whole corrupt thing to get this payoff is just not worth it. I'm going to give it a 1 in Standard, and it's absolutely not going to see any play in Wild, so I'll give it a 1 there. Just not really a useful card whatsoever. Next, we have Swindle. This is the card I was alluding to earlier. It's a 2-mana spell, and it draws a spell, combo, and a minion. So you play your 2-mana 3/2, and then you draw a spell and a minion. That's ridiculous. This card on its own is 2-mana draw 2. That's really good. And it tutors. You're specifically getting a spell and a minion. That's beneficial in almost every scenario. This card is just ridiculous. I know you have 1 mana of draw 4, but more draw is always better. Rogue loves to draw cards, loves to draw them for cheap, and this absolutely accomplishes that. I'm giving this another 5. I don't know what Rogue deck in Standard doesn't run this card. Maybe not like Stealth Rogue, maybe doesn't run it. It doesn't make sense there. I don't know. You're probably putting that in there too. It's just, why would you not run a 2-mana draw 2? And often this is going to cost 0 with your 3/2 that you're playing. It's just way too good to not run. So I'm going to give it a 5 in Standard. Same issue in Wild though. This has a bit more potential in terms of like maybe a Kingsbane Rogue might want to run this, because you don't run that many spells and that many minions, so you're more likely maybe to pick up like your raiding party or a weapon buff, things like that. I could see it seeing some play in Wild more so than the 2-drop, so I'm going to give it a 3 in Wild. But again, I don't think it's like some meta like defining Wild card. Next, we have Cloak of Shadows. This is a 3-mana spell. Give your hero stealth for 1 turn. The only other time we've seen Rogue get stealth was with Death Knight of Valera. And yeah, now we have this spell version of that. It's like timeout, like ice block to an extent. You're not protected for like a hunter hero power or like missile damage, Dragon's Bane. Do you run this card in Standard? I don't think so. You might run it if you're running some kind of like combo deck like Malagos Rogue. But again, that's not really prevalent in Standard whatsoever, and I don't see that becoming a thing. This is more of a card that's going to be very frustrating when your opponent constantly discovers them off Ethereal Lackeys. And, you know, if they want to go in the face, they can't do it because you keep getting random stealth stuff. So it's an Ethereal Lackey card. It's a good card if in the right deck. That deck I just don't think will exist in Standard right now, so I'll give it a 2. In Wild, there's more possibilities. There are decks that can work like Malagos Rogue. Maybe a big Rogue might use this to stall. But again, those decks are fringe. They're not really, you know, competitive viable decks at the moment. So I'm going to give it a 2 in Wild as well. But yeah, giving yourself effectively immunity can be a very powerful effect. So we'll see. This one will likely see play at some point down the line if more support for those type of decks pop up. Next we have Shadow Clone, the new rogue secret. It's 2 mana secret. After a minion attacks your hero, summon a copy of it with stealth. So I think this is going to be the last secret we get for rogue until they do like a whole different secret package. They said they were going to do one each expansion this year with the whole Hanar package, and then we'll see probably nothing next year. But anyways, how good is getting a stealth copy of a minion your opponent plays? Typically, in the meta we've seen in Standard and in Wild, it's mostly tokens and like 2 mana 2/3s and 3/2s and just battlecry minions that aren't really worth it, aren't that great. But it stays stealth, and that's not bad, especially when you have cards like Greyheart Sage that helps you draw cards. You can buff it up with like your Praise Galacrons, your Cold Bloods. It's borderline. I think you rather Dirty Tricks, Plagiarize. I still think even the Ambush is slightly better than this, but it's not terrible. You're going to get this off of Lackeys. You're going to get this off of Hanar. You're going to play this card whether you run it or not. I just think the other secrets are a little bit better. And if you're running the secret package, I don't know if you're running Shadow Clone, because it's very easy to play around and you don't get much. And I'm going to give it a 2. I think it's fringe. I think the other secrets are a little bit better, but again, it's not horrendously bad. And in Wild, I don't think I've ever seen a secret C play outside of like big rogue, and they don't even play the normal C. They play like the cheat death stuff. So I'm going to give it a 1 for Wild. Secrets just don't really ever pop up in Wild for the most part. Next, we have the Rogue Legendary Tenwu of the Red Smoke. It's a 2 mana 3/2 minion, Battlecry, legendary minion. Battlecry, return a friendly minion to your hand. It costs 1 this turn. This is auto-include in every single rogue deck outside of maybe like a really aggressive stealth rogue or weapon rogue, because you don't have that much stuff to bounce. But, I mean, Galacron rogue loves this. Secret rogue loves this. I mean, you're running this card. It's a bouncer, and you get into the same discount for that turn. It's 1 for that turn. So if you bounce it back and you don't play it, you don't get that discount. But again, you know, Panda's not the worst thing in the world. But again, you bounce a Miscreant back, insane. Edwin, all sorts of stuff. It can just be ridiculous. It's just so flexible. And it's a 2 mana 3/2. If you're facing an aggro deck, you can just curve out and play it. That's fine. I'm giving it a 5 for Standard. This will be auto-include in rogue decks until it rotates. It's just so freaking powerful, so good, so flexible. And imagine Leroy not being Hall of Fame. You have this and Shadow Step. Oh my goodness, it'd be so much damage. In Wild, again, these type of minions don't really pop up. Can't play an odd rogue. A Kingsbane rogue doesn't care. It's more those greedy fringe rogue decks that just don't see a lot of play. Like, yeah, you can do stuff with like Mill Rogue and things like that, but those decks just aren't competitive. They're not really viable. They're more memey, more fringe, so I'll give it a 2 there. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good card. It's just funny how the Wild and Standard metas vary so much in terms of aggression and value. Next, we have Malevolent Strike. This is one of the first cards I can ever recall that it power creeped on one of its own class cards. This is strictly a better Assassinate outside of like a Yogg, because it can destroy your own minions. But anyways, 5 mana, destroy a minion, costs 1 less for each card in your deck that didn't start there. So it's pretty good with like Cthulhu. If you shuffle in the 4 pieces with Cthulhu, this is a 1 mana Assassinate. But yeah, this is a very slow Assassinate effect. You have to shuffle in other cards. There's one card we'll take a look at later that's shuffle some like some stuff into your deck. You also have like Tog Scheme, other cards like that. It feels very niche, very meme. The shuffle cards into your deck stuff has just never really been competitive in Rogue, and you have to do that for this card to be worth it. Otherwise, it's Assassinate, and that's just bad. I'm gonna give it a 2. It's a fringe card for like, you know, those fringe decks. I just don't see them really taking off. And in Wild, I'll give it a 1 because it's even less likely to work there. You just can't really get away with that kind of stuff. So we have the Rogue Legendary Grand Empress Shek Zara. 6 mana 5/7 minion. Battlecry. Discover a card in your deck and draw all copies of it. So this is like you're trying to hire, like maybe in Highlander Rogue, you're going to get a bunch of Zephyruses or, you know, something like that. But you have to shuffle things, which screws with Zephyrs. I don't know, like, this is a really weird card. You need to shuffle a high value minion and then get a bunch of copies of it. Rogue just can't afford to do this in any format. This is a really solid meme, I'll give it that. We've seen it with like Taz Noswhisker and other cards on those vein. This is a little bit better, but at the same time a little bit worse, because you might not discover that specific card. It's not guaranteed. You get 3 shots at it, right? So it's a meme card. I don't think you're ever putting this in your deck. I gotta give it a 1. I just don't see the viability outside of like, yeah, insane memes. And in Wild, maybe there's a little bit more viability. You got like Pogo Hopper there. You got Myra's Unstable Element, which can make things a little bit more likely. I think the memes are a lot more solid on Wild. So for that reason, I'll give it a 2 for Wild. I think because of the Pogo Hopper stuff, you have Gang Up, you have a lot more, like, better synergies to make it work. Maybe, just maybe, you can make a solid meme deck out of it. I just don't see it in Standard right now. I think it's just too weak. Next, we have the Ticketmaster. It's a 3-mana 4/3 minion, so basically premium stats for a 3-drop. Death Rattle, shuffle 3 tickets into your deck. When drawn, summon a 3/3 plush bear. So it's kind of reminiscent of like the spider card, where you shuffle your spiders and then you get them out. This has to die first. It's not a battle cry. But, you know, it's relatively annoying. They kill it, and then you get some 3/3s. The 3/3s don't feel as impactful as 4/4s. I know that's kind of obvious. It's less, but I don't know. This feels a bit slowish. But there's a lot of drawn Rogue, and there's a lot of good chances to pull out some 3/3s. But I feel like Rogue has so much insane stuff, like with the cards we looked at earlier, plus everything else going on with Secret Passage, Lackeys, all this stuff. I don't think Ticketmaster slots in now, but I think at rotation, when like all the Galakron, all the Lackeys, all that stuff rotates, I think Ticketmaster will be very good in Standard. I just think right now there's probably a bit better options, so I'm going to give it a 2. I don't think it quite gets there, but I do see this card seeing play in the relatively near future. In terms of Wild, yeah, I mean, maybe an Odd Rogue, you could run this like as a 3-drop, and then, you know, you get some 3/3s, and that could be realistic. I mean, you're not playing this in basically any other deck. But yeah, I don't think this takes an Odd Rogue spot, because that deck is very tight, very efficient, and I don't know how much it cares about finding 3/3s. You have like Cutting Class, you have Secret Passage to draw with that deck, but I don't think it's enough to make Ticketmaster work with it, but maybe. I'll give it a 2 in Wild as well. Again, it's a good card. I just think there's better options in Rogue. Lastly, we have the Prize Plunderer. It's a 1-mana 2/1 pirate combo. Deal 1 damage to a minion for each other card you play this turn. It only goes to a minion, can't go face. I have no idea what you're doing with this in Standard. It's a 1-mana 2/1. Deals some damage. Rogue has better efficient removal than this. They don't really care about pirates in Standard. I just don't see how this is anything but kind of a bad arena card. I'm going to give it a 1. In Wild, you do have synergies with pirates, like patches. You can do your raiding party stuff. I still don't see it seeing play there. Still seems weak. You'd rather play Swashbuckler, Buccaneer. Hell, the 1-mana 1/2 Corsair that destroys a weapon charge is better than this, in my opinion. I'm going to give it a 1 there as well, but there's some meme potential as well with like some OTKs and all that silliness, but that's meme potential, not really a realistic rating. So there you have it. There are my Rogue review for this set. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and make sure to tune in for the next review video. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.